Ow. I don't know what that was, but... Salve, and welcome back to another episode of...
Hey! Hey! Hey!
What is it? Where are you?
I need you to do a video for me. Review.
Why? I was gonna do an episode of Seth Reacts.
Because I said so. Now do the review!
Review? Review of what?
Look at your shelf. Maybe you'll find out.
Really? BioShock? Why?
Because I think you might have some interesting points to make about it.
Alright. I guess I'll give it a shot. This is my review of BioShock.
Man has a choice. I chose the impossible. I built a city where the artist would not fear the censor, where the great will not be constrained by the small, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality. I chose to build rapture. But my city was betrayed by the weak. So I ask you, my friend, if your life were the prize, would you kill the innocent? Would you sacrifice your humanity? We all make choices, but in the end, our choices make us.
Okay, so I don't really know how other people do reviews. Normally they point out things they don't like about it, or they point out things they do like about it. But I don't feel like doing that. I would rather just talk about the game in general, or each game individually based on how, what happened to me when I bought the entire series all at once and played through it. Because when I was a kid, I didn't play the games. I didn't play video games. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and talk about each as, I played them. So when I bought this game series, the first game, of course, I played was BioShock 1, because I wanted to know what was going on in all three games. I wanted to know what was happening. I wanted to understand the lore bits. And it went pretty well. When I first started playing it, I didn't like the way the game the way the game worked. But at the time, it didn't really matter to me, because I didn't know anything better, because the game was kind of just the game. And I figured, this game is really popular, people really like it, so it must have done pretty well to get this kind of, stuff. But because of how repetitive and how I didn't really know what I was fighting for in the game, which is kind of the point. You kind of have a set thing that you're doing, and then you kind of just move on to the next thing. Like first you're trying to go save Atlas's family, and family is a flex term I'll use, and then you're trying to go get revenge for Atlas and all this other stuff. But it's his revenge, it's his family. I have no social connection to them. The world was cool. That was what I liked about BioShock in the beginning. But as the game went on, and areas I saw them, and things went through, the game got really repetitive, and I got bored. So I put the game down and moved on to BioShock 2.
For every choice, there is an echo. With each act, we change the world. One man chose a city free of law and God, but others chose corruption, and so the city fell. If the world were reborn in your image, would it be paradise or perdition?
Now, in BioShock 2, you play as a Big Daddy, and Big Daddies were my favorite part of BioShock, the first BioShock. When I was playing it, I loved watching them interact with the little sisters. I loved watching them interact with the environment. I just loved watching them, and I hated killing them. I had to convince myself that killing the Big Daddies, A, it's a that A, it's just game, it doesn't matter, and B, you're probably putting them out of a life of hurt and pain. But I loved the Big Daddies. They were my favorite part. That's why I loved the ability of mind controlling them, and I would always have a Rosie around. I didn't use any other ability unless I absolutely had to when I first played the first BioShock, and so I'd always have a Rosie around when I was in the levels. Sadly, BioShock 2 doesn't have that mechanic, but it kind of makes sense. In BioShock 2, you play as a Big Daddy, who's from the Alpha series. And to be perfectly honest, this is my favorite game of the 3. I'm not counting the extra game, the DLCs. I'm not counting the other stuff. But I will talk about them in line of when I played them. But I loved. So yeah, just a little bit tidbit. But I loved playing BioShock 2. My biggest complaints about it, especially during the early game, was how much ammo you didn't have. It's a game that really... BioShock is a game overall that really focuses on not giving you a lot of ammo. But it didn't really matter because the majority of your weapons in BioShock 2 you use, and you always use them because they're really good. All of them, none of them are like comparably better than any of the other ones. They're all good, they all work really well. Sure, you might lean towards one, like I usually leaned toward using the staple gun or whatever it's called. It is basically a staple gun. The nail gun. Or the rivet gun. Because I just like the rivet gun. I just like the way it looked, I like the way it shot, I liked its abilities. It was a good gun. But when it came down to it, it's just kind of sad to say, the game kind of faltered in storytelling. It's what everybody always tells me. And I understand that the twists and turns, me after actually completing BioShock 1, I understand that you people might not like the narrative points of the stories. But I also don't think you guys understand how the game's story works. This story is not based from the point of view of a person. It's not made from the point of view of a mindless zombie who has to go through the world and do whatever they can. This is set from the point of view of a guy who has two choices. One, save this little girl with the kindness of his heart, but do it in any means necessary. But think about what you're doing. Or two, mindlessly murder everyone, try to get out of here as fast as you can, try to survive. You are the only one who matters. But you have to save her anyway, because without her, you're gonna die. Those are the two ways you can play this game. Yeah. Another reason why people don't like this game is there are three very distinct choices you make in the game, which is more than BioShock 1, but there are three choices you make in the game. The first one is there's this lady, and she has, sorry, this is my favorite game in the series, I'm going to talk about it for a long time, but she was basically the nanny to your little sister before she got turned into a little sister. And she lost her. Wow. And sees her walking around with none other than you. Sorry, did I mention this? I don't know. This game's old. Unless you really want to play it, I would say spoilers, but I'll put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the video. Hey, you! Put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the video! He's probably not listening. Anyway. The Big Daddies, as they, the old Big Daddies... No, wait, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, I was talking about her. So, she sees this little girl walking around that she loves and she's been taking care of for years, walking around with none other than you. And what does she do? She runs over to the little girl, tries to give her a hug. But what do? You're a Big Daddy. And what is your job? Your job is to protect your little sister. So what do? You punch her across the room! Because that's what Big Daddies do. So, of course, she's a little peeved at you. And not only that, but she has the bad guy of the series, who I'm not going to tell you who that is, unless you've already played the game. Because just for spoilers, and this is a really good game, I recommend you guys playing it. She suplexes, so yeah. she goes on this whole thing where she raises up an entire hotel's worth of splicers all working together to kill you. They're one big army. Unlike in the first game where they're all ravaging around trying to find, food, materials, trying to find a way to survive. And this one, they're all one big army and they're all aimed at killing you. So there's a lot more kind of like raid situations where they're all kind of huge clumps of them are going to try to attack you all at once. It's really, really difficult, but if you hack enough robots, you should be fine. I sort of think of that's different about BioShock 1 than BioShock 1. It's really easy to hack things. From cameras, which are, by the way, the most overpowered thing of the game. Summoning cameras anytime a enemy appears. Not cameras. Summoning drones every time a bad guy appears. It's great. I think it only happens like 1 or 2 times in the original one, and you have to like break them everywhere else. But it's really great. It's probably my favorite part about BioShock 2, besides the fact that you play as a Big Daddy, is the fact that you can just have hordes and hordes of drones helping you, and machine gun turrets and all this other stuff, because they're great. They're really easy to use, and they're really, really effective. Excuse me. There you go. So you finally get to her, and your choice is to kill her or spare her. And I, after thinking about it, because, when you play these types of games, you think there's, spoiler alert, again, when you play these types of games, you think that your choices matter towards the end of the story. And what I hate to tell you guys is that in real life, sure, your choices can influence how your life goes, but sometimes, like choosing who lives or dies, that doesn't need to be a choice that you think that you can get an achievement for. Just because you save someone's life or you don't kill someone doesn't mean that you're gonna, walk around all justified. You can't just go, oh, I didn't kill my boss, so clearly he should give me something. That's not how life works. So yeah, I didn't kill her. And yes, she's the only one in the game who does actually do something to help you. When you don't kill her, she gives you drones and joins your side. The splicers on the other end do not, which kind of sucks. Because it would have been nice to have an entire area that's just safe for you, and all the splicers there are on your side. That would have been cool. But no, it's just all the robots, all the security cameras, all the robotic stuff in the building, in the area, is yours to command. They're on your side, unless the splicers just set them up. Oh yeah, and she's on your team. Pretty sure she dies for that, but what can you do? Another thing is so yeah, that's the one choice in the game. I'm not going to talk about the other choices in the game because there are a lot more. As the game goes on, the choices become a lot more closer to home, and they a lot more correspond to you, the character, rather than, basically the choices get serious. They become actual, like, things to think about. Another thing people don't like about this game is the Big Sisters, which are by far one of my favorite things about this game. I can't stress how much I love this game. The Big Sisters are the equivalent of, a Big Daddy, but they're a lot worse. They're not as tanky, I don't think, but they jump around. They're spliced, so they use the special abilities like telekinesis, and they can use telekinesis and pyrokinesis. So they shoot fire and they throw rubble at you and stuff like that. They're really powerful. Think of them like the big boss of the game. They suck to fight, but I love fighting them because every time you fight them, you feel like it's an actual challenge. Be it on hard mode, normal mode, easy mode, no matter what, they're always going to be hard to fight. It's terrible, which is why I love it. But people complained about it because you already have to fight the 3 Big Daddies to get the 3 Little Sisters, and then you summon Big Sister. I don't see the problem. You have 3 Big Daddies that you take down, which to me is already painful enough as it is, and then you have about 30 seconds to prepare for a big boss fight. And if you were already prepared for a Big Daddy fight, which, by the way, is much easier than fighting a Big Sister, you should still have enough ammo, enough ability, enough splice, enough HP, unless you really suck at the game, which, if you do, sucks to be you. You should have enough of all that stuff to take down the Big Sister. Anyway, that's my thoughts on, BioShock 2 and the reasons why people hate it. From a narrative standpoint, it hits a whole lot more closer to home with me because I have younger siblings, little siblings too, but I have younger siblings, and when it comes down to it, babies, high schoolers, everything, when they see what you do, they remember it. And the whole point of the game is that, I want to say Evelyn because I was, whatever, is that your little sister, because I can't remember her name right now, it really sucks because I love this game. She sees everything you do, and she thinks that's what's right. Children's morals are exactly the same as their parents' morals, unless they're super rebellious. Teenagers, am I right? So you gotta remember that. You gotta think about that. That's the way that life works. And so I love that this game took the standpoint of not all your choices will matter, and would you rather turn someone who loves you, who sees everything you do, into a monster, or let them be a person? That's what I love about BioShock 2's story. Yes, it has some holes that people don't really like. Yes, it has some game mechanics that people don't enjoy. I think this game is probably the best out of the series for just storytelling and gameplay. I would say that there is one that does rate higher for gameplay than BioShock 2. I'll get into that later.
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. That was the deal. I gambled, and now I owe money to men you don't want to be in debt to. I come here to pay it back.
There's already a fight to win. The question is, which side you on?
One thing I've learned, if you don't draw first, you don't get to draw at all.
Next is BioShock Infinite. And if you haven't played BioShock Infinite, I would say play it. It's fun, but disregard the story entirely. It is a run and gun like Doom, except for instead of the enemies being mainly melee and a lot of fireballs that are a little slow but can still do a lot of damage, they are mainly guys with machine guns shooting at you. And sure, the combat is pretty easy to get down once you've played the game enough. And it's really fun to play, especially when you're younger. But what I would say is the story is very convoluted and hard to understand. But this is basically what I know based on playing it, hearing what people talked about, and, the basics. BioShock Infinite is about Booker DeWitt, which is actually probably my favorite name out of the three. We got Jack and Delta, and then Booker DeWitt. I like Booker's name. I love Booker's name. Booker is my favorite. Don't at me. He's also my favorite of the three protagonists because he's the only one who's not a silent protagonist, which a lot of people don't seem to like. I like that he has some character because, Resident Evil, they don't have a silent protagonist, and everyone loves the characters from that. But I guess since BioShock had two silent protagonists in the past, everyone just thought having a silent protagonist works better for the story. I guess. Another thing people don't like about BioShock is you basically have a unkillable god following you around who will give you random items and spawn in things as the game goes by. It's fun, it's cool, I don't care. This game is really fun, leave me alone. We're gonna talk about the story, wasn't I? Yeah, I started talking about the gameplay. I'll get to the gameplay later. The story is basically Booker, who is this bounty hunter. He thinks he's a bounty hunter. Bounty hunter goes to this magical floating city in the sky called Columbia. In Columbia, there are... Okay, when I first got into Columbia, this is what I ran around doing. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Where's the monsters? Where's the gore? Where's the blood? Why don't I see anything? This place is terrifying. Okay, this place is supposed to be like a paradise. Everything's supposed to be perfect, lovely. Everyone worships God, you know, things like that. It's a very Christian, like, subclass cult type thing. It's terrifying. When you spawn in, you're so used to Rapture. You're so used to this city under the ocean that when you spawned in, you see things everywhere that are pretty, that are moving around in ways that don't make any sense. Like, there are literally buildings who will fly in and attach to the platform you're on, and then there'll just be people inside who's like, hey, what's up? It's terrifying! Because everyone around you is not trying to kill you. It's a sense of normality that after just playing BioShock 2 and starting to play BioShock Infinite, you don't expect it. So it's terrifying. You can tell that I like these two games a lot more than BioShock 1. But I'm telling them in order of how I played them. So I will get back to BioShock 1 at the end since I finished that one last. So, you know, going through the game, you have choices to make, and I did put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the video, so, you know, I just gotta say, you make choices in the game, but they don't do anything to change the overall narrative. That's not your job. You're stuck in a time loop, basically. You can't stop doing the same thing over and over again. And subtle things change. But when it comes down to it, nothing really changes. So there's a lot of racism in the game. So you got to deal with that. But the first choice you make is there's a black woman and a white man who have fallen in love. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't know if it's the opposite. Basically, there's an interrace couple. They've fallen in love, and they're tied to a thing up on a stage. And there are a bunch of white guys in black clothes standing around it. You know, top hats, classic stuff like that. And there's a person walking around with a baseball. A basket of baseballs. And they're like, here, take a ball. If you get the right number, you get to throw first. And you get the ball. You hold it in your hand, and it says 77. And earlier in the game, you were told to beware 77. Also, there's this really nice area where they kind of introduce you to the game mechanics. Not outright, but they do introduce you to the game mechanics. Sort of. It's like a carnival area where you can win things like cigarettes, some health stuff, money, things like that. And it's a cool area. It's fun. I spent like a half an hour in there just messing around and playing the games because it's honestly not that hard, but they're fun games to play. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the story. Your two choices are, just to kind of lay out what the choices kind of is that your choices are, you can either throw it at the couple or throw it at the host dude who's standing next to you who's like, hey, throw the ball at the people. You know you want to. They're filthy. And you, of course, being the person in the future, think this is horrible. Why would you do this? Booker in the past doesn't get the luxury of being from the future. Booker in the past either thinks two things based on what you choose. If you choose throw it at the host dude, he says, you know, words. Choice words, which I won't say, but, you know, this is BioShock and this is made for adults, so he says, you son of a... But before he can throw it, one of the guards grabs him and says, hey, this is just trying to force perfect. Which I'll get back to. Oh, this video is going to be so long. Anyway, if you make the other choice, he says the exact same thing and tries to throw other people, but the exact same thing happens. They catch his hand, they're like, this is the side of the foot permit. And then you have to start the running gun thing, where you're basically just running around shooting people for like hours upon end. They're small puzzles, but they're not really fun and don't really, and kind of take you out of the action, which is the fun part. There's a lot of boss fights that are fun. You get to control a giant bird man who's basically just a big daddy and that can fly, and is huge and is all robotic, not biological in the slightest. And that's pretty much the extent of what was actually fun about the game. If we want to go into context about the story doesn't make any sense. For being like, what I think is interesting is the guy from BioShock 1 wrote the story or whatever, helped write the story, didn't want to help with BioShock 2. So the people who are working on BioShock 2 left, made their own company, blah blah, made BioShock 2. BioShock 2 was a better game than BioShock 1. It had better gameplay aspects, everything. It took them, like, I think, 2 years? BioShock Infinite took 5 years, and the story sucked. Everyone was mad about the gameplay because it didn't match the previous games. Everyone was mad about the story because it messed with the original story of the original game, and it just was kind of muddled up. The story also didn't make sense. It made it sound more like the guy who wrote it didn't do any actual research into what these scientific theories that he was talking about were. So it kind of upset a lot of people. And to be perfectly honest, after watching the end scene, my first thought was, what the just happened? Because, like, you get in, and you get to the end, and this girl that you find out is your daughter, who you've been protecting the whole game, just murders you. You're not even the bad guy. You just happen to be the same person from another dimension, so you're the bad guy. We have to kill every single Booker. We have to kill every single one in order to, spread happiness. If you're wondering what's happening, the bad Bookers and the girl are from a different dimension than the bad guy, who's Booker, but from another dimension, who becomes this whole prophet thing and blah, blah, blah. Words. And so, basically, Booker can't take care of his daughter. And so he gives her to these people, who give it to Otherworld Booker, because he's sterile. And another World Booker kind of turns her into a monster. Sort of. But he's all crazy like. So, that's... basically, every single person that I've ever watched talk about BioShock Infinite talks about how it was fun when I was a kid, but when I went back and played it as an adult, the game's story kind of sucks. And it's true, the game's story doesn't make any sense. I'd still play the game if you know someone who has it. It's fun, I really enjoyed playing it, the choices you make don't make any difference, blah, blah. That's if you haven't played it and you don't care about spoilers. If you have played it and you don't agree with me, tell me why. I'd love to know why you guys think this game is good. But honestly, we're ranking it in, like, gameplay and story and all this stuff. It's got probably the weakest story of the 3 games. And its gameplay, because it's not very diverse, probably has the weakest gameplay.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things.
I don't know how you survived that plane crash, but Providence. I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive.
Finally, back to BioShock 1. So, after being BioShock Infinite and being very confused, I decided to play BioShock 1 because I wanted to know what was going on. Because, so, as I played the first BioShock, I, yet again, was really bored through most of it. Then, I met a friend who I love. You know that singing dude with the piano that was on the stage, and he's like singing while playing the piano, but he's also crying at the same time because and then he dies and blows up and all that other stuff. You know the guy who killed him? I love him. Sander Cohen. Sander Cohen was probably my favorite character in the game. He was so jittery and crazy, and could tell that he was already pretty jittery and crazy to begin with, especially if you played. I'll talk about that later. So while playing his story, I actually had a lot of problems. The game glitched out a few times where I would complete things and then different areas wouldn't open. And because I would forget to save or something else, I'd redo the entire area over again. At one point where I accidentally killed one of the little sisters, I was not happy with that, so I went back into the entire area over again because I forgot to save like a dum-dum. So after like 50 attempts at going through this thing, I finally beat it. And by this point in time, I was like, oh god, finally. And then Sander Cohen walked right into one of my traps that I'd set up for one of the boss fights. And he can't be killed, so he's kind of just standing there murdering you over and over and over again. I had to redo it again. I finally got back, and I was like, oh my god, if he steps into this again, I'm gonna kill him. Luckily, he didn't step into it again. I still love Sander Cohen. He's definitely one of my favorite characters in the BioShock series. But he is a pain in the butt after playing his little area in the game so many times. So I make it out of there. And I go and find Ryan. That's disgusting. So I hear his first spiel about the whole, are you a man or a slave? A man chooses, a slave obeys. Gotta say, quote that quite often. I did an entire spiel about it one time at a tech stream. Everyone was like, I feel like I just got evangelisted. I was like, yes, this is so funny. Because I read it back and there were some things that just weren't correct. I was like, well, yeah. Anyway, I got to him, and as I was watching the cutscene where I had no choice no matter whether to kill him or not, I was like, I wonder if this has something to do with the ending of the game. Because at this point, I already knew Atlas was going to betray me and be Fontaine. Because, you know, people kind of spoil things when you're watching BioShock 2 videos because, you know, you like BioShock 2 and you want to see if other people like it too. So I got spoiled on that front. And also probably dumbed down how much I actually like BioShock. So I did the whole thing. Did the Big Daddy area. Now that was really fun for me. I liked that area where you're putting on the suit, putting on the stuff, and then you get to the final boss, Fontaine. Which, if you've actually been playing the game, is really easy. There has never been a boss fight as easy as Fontaine. That final boss was so easy. So, if you've ever played Doom 16, there's the spider mastermind is the final boss in Doom 16. That thing I killed in one attempt. Didn't have to redo it, didn't have to do nothing. I killed it in one attempt. It took one attempt. It was still hard. I had to heal a lot. But it was way, way harder than Fontaine. And, like, the fight against the Spider Mastermind took about 30 minutes. Fontaine took me about 5 minutes to kill. 5 minutes. If that doesn't speak volumes about how easy it is to kill Fontaine, I don't know what does. So in context, basically, you find Fontaine, and your Big Daddy armor suit thing falls away. You no longer have it. And Fontaine's sitting up there in this giant X being injected with so much Atom, and you walk up and you just stab him. And you get a bunch of Atom that you can't use. Good luck explaining that to your girlfriend. So then you go into a boss fight where you continuously kill a bunch of guys and shoot him. And I gotta say, the bees thing, the bees power, you're just like, whoa, bees! Really, really useful in that boss fight. If you want to fight him on equal terms, get the bees thing. It's really great. So after killing him, and the Billy Little Sisters are stabbing him and all this stuff like that, because of the way BioShock... I didn't spoil myself on the ending of BioShock 1, because I really wanted to know what happened. Because of the way BioShock 2 ended, I was under the impression that Jack would die. Because that's how BioShock 2 ends. The main character dies. When Jack lived, I was so upset. Jack got to live and die a happy life. But Delta, the guy who actually made an effort, in my playthrough at least, to love everyone he met, because in BioShock 2, you actually carry the big sisters around, the little sisters around with you. You collect Atom, you protect them, they're your companions. In BioShock 1, you save them, they leave. That's it. For me, Delta deserved to live, not Jack. And that's why I was so upset at the end of BioShock 1. I was also thankful the game was over, because I don't want to play BioShock 1 again. Its gameplay mechanics are really bad. Its hacking is bad. The story was spoiled for me because of, people talking about BioShock all the time. And honestly, I didn't like anybody. I liked Ryan. Ryan was a cool villain, but Fontaine sucked. He did not make sense. His turn at the end was really, really easy to see. I had already figured out that he was going to turn on me before I was spoiled on the fact that he was going to turn on me. And so I just found it to be really, really a waste of my time. I wanted to know what was going on, why everyone loved BioShock so much. But when I actually got to play it, I didn't find the original BioShock to be that endearing. I didn't find it to be a game that I cherished forever. Sure, it built the groundwork for the game, for one of my favorite games, and a game that I really like to play, but if that's the groundwork for the game, I understand why everyone hates BioShock 2 so much. Because BioShock's not a good game. I don't know what everyone saw in it when it first came out. Maybe when it first came out, because of all the things were so revolutionary, like making choices in games about who to kill. I don't know. I don't know how people thought this game was any good. And you can debate about me in the comments whether BioShock is a good game or not, why you love it, why you hate it, why whatever. I don't care. This is my opinion. I don't find BioShock 1 to be that endearing. I don't see it as a game I ever want to play again. I might play it for nostalgia, but if I want to play a game for nostalgia, I'll play Infinite. I'll play 2. I'll play the two best games in the series. I think they're the mini, like the Minerva's Den and Burial at Sea 1. Those are the recorded best BioShock games. They're not, DLC. Games is a flex race. They're the DLC for the games. Everyone loves Minerva's Den and Burial at Sea 1. Burial at Sea 2 sucks. Nobody likes that. It sucked to play. I didn't finish it. Didn't matter. Minerva's Den and Burial at Sea 1. Those are great. I love them. So anyway, you guys disagree with me, tell me why I'm wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'll read why you guys think I'm wrong, why you guys think I'm right, things like that. But if you really, really, really want to, you haven't played these games yet, play 1, play 2, and then play Infinite. Because that'll allow you to appreciate 2, and allow you to appreciate Infinite less, I guess. I don't know. Have fun with Infinite. Infinite is a game you can play all by itself, and it will still work out. Because Infinite is fun. It's run and gun. And run and gun is kind of my style of gameplay anyway, especially in BioShock. So, yeah. If you really like Doom, play Infinite. It's fun. Don't pay attention to the story. It doesn't matter. Yeah, feels good to get that off my chest. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't know if I'm ever going to do a review again, especially if everybody hates me now. Sorry. Bye.